Now, for those of you who are not in the TikTok streets, and trust me, I understand because it's crazy over there is a trending audio and it goes, stupid. Or is it slow? And to that same audio, people are showing a lot of bad financial decisions that they have made. And this one specifically has a car note on there. And it says here, how I feel looking at my car payment that I somehow thought was reasonable. And it looks like the car note is $830.42. Man, what kind of car you got? And you can just see the pain and regret on this lady's face. I want to know, what was she thinking too? Oh no, y'all, this is for a Kia. $830 a month for a Kia? I thought she was going to tell us she had a Ford Bronco or something. A Kia is wild. Oh no. We got to go to the comments on this one. It says on the top comment, she says she regrets it, y'all. Dang. Now, y'all know TikTok is unforgiving. And she replied, no one has media literacy these days. Laughing my A off, but you get it. What about financial literacy? I'm just asking, because $830 for a Kia? And somebody else commented that she's pretty much paying BMW prices for a Kia, and that's crazy. And then she replied with, I'd rather eat bricks for a year than own a BMW. And I want to know what all my BMW drivers think about that comment. And this one here is interesting. 72 months, $59,700. This car is only worth $29,000. Is it really? What happened? And people in the comments are saying she must have got the worst interest rate as possible. And honestly, I would believe that. Someone else said it might be negative equity from another vehicle. And that also could be the truth, because how? And another theory, she probably has bad credit and really bad interest rate. I want to see, what did she say about this? But I need to know, do y'all think that $830 a month for a Kia is a justifiable price? Comment down below. Now, y'all, she ended up replying to one of the comments saying, why did you do that?
Basically, before my Kia, I drove a Mustang EcoBoost, and I loved that thing, but it started to have a lot of issues and expensive issues, and it was no longer covered under the warranty. So I decided I wanted to trade it in, and I wanted something that was similar in horsepower because I drive a little crazy.
The fact that she says she wanted something similar in horsepower because she drives crazy, it just lets me know the mindset of a lot of people. Do y'all not look for cars that are fuel efficient, good on gas, the maintenance isn't too expensive, there's typically longevity in the cars, known to last? Do we not look for those features in cars anymore? She was talking about horsepower. Y'all don't need all of that for these cars. And a lot of y'all are going to go out in public and get speeding tickets anyway. It might be best that you don't have a car with all this horsepower and that goes vroom, vroom, real loud. But I digress.
And the only thing that I could find that had everything I wanted in terms of, horsepower, in terms of, I wanted cooled seats because I live in Florida. I wanted Apple Play. I had a whole list of things that I wanted. And again, I was really young and I didn't consider that sometimes you just don't get those things, especially with the situation that I was in where I wasn't working necessarily. Actually, I think I was still working at the time, but I was about to quit my job and move.
What? She said she was about...
So,
you know what I noticed? It tends to be like a lead up, like, oh, I'm going to quit my job. I'm moving. And before I do all of that, I'm going to get an expensive car. Why does it always have to be in this sort of order? It's almost like they find the best time to be reckless, and that's when they do it.
But I was about to quit my job and move. So, just being young and dumb, I picked the K5 and I went to a dealership. At the time, I was living in Miami, but I drove to Orlando to see family, and because my Mustang was in my dad's name, I ended up finding my car, and I was in love with it. In love. I did a test drive. I loved it, loved everything about it, and I still do. So everybody's saying for a Kia, I love my car.
Good.
So we go to run numbers, and I tell him I need a cheaper car payment. My Mustang is $520 a month or something like that, and I said I was looking for something cheaper and that I wouldn't take anything more than what I was currently paying. So he runs my credit. He gives me a really good deal on my Mustang. My Mustang had been in 2 accidents, and he was going to give me $19,500 for my Mustang. That was not worth that. And I would have been positive. I would have been up $3,500 from the offer that he gave me. So I take it. He runs my numbers, comes back, tells me my car payment is going to be $430. And I was like, perfect, let's do it. My dad drives an hour and a half. In that hour and a half, he's like, well, if we're going to do the paperwork and stuff, you might as well move your dash cam, all your personal things. Let's move everything over to a new car. So I do that. I had a lot of stuff in this car because I had just moved and it was messy. I had just moved and still had just a lot of stuff in the car.
Right.
So my dad gets there, he signs the car over to them, and we sit down, and we're about to do paperwork, and he says, hold on a second. Say, okay. I go out, and I was on the phone, and he comes out, and he's like, you're gonna hate me. So I'm like, what's going on? What happened? And he tells me that he actually ran me for the GT line. And the GT line is like the same car, basically, the same interior and whatnot. Actually, I think the GT line is a better interior. It has like red seats and stuff. But it didn't have the same engine that I wanted. And I was set in stone for some reason. Like, I was being so stubborn about the fact that I wanted a faster car. I wouldn't take 180 horsepower. I just wouldn't. So he tells me that he ran me for the wrong car. And I tell him, all right, run me for the right one. Let's see what we got. Because again, at that point, I'd already moved all my stuff over. I had already had my dad drive an hour and a half with my mom. I had already done so much. I got my hopes up. I was so excited about this car. I loved everything about this car. And he runs me for the right numbers. Comes back, tells me my car payment is going to be $830.
This is where, I know a lot of y'all are headstrong. You want what you want. I might even go as to say you might even be stubborn in some situations. But this is where you actually look at your budget. This is where you look at how much money you make. And if you're about to quit your job, why was this a good decision? Girl, you admitted you was finna quit. Make it make sense. And I know she's saying she was stubborn and she wanted this certain engine. You can't give me enough engine to be in debt about a car that's about to be $830 a month just to be like, oh, I got this engine. Nobody's going to care about your engine when you clocking in for overtime. You're not even probably going to care about that engine if you're clocking in overtime. This is how you get stuck in what we call the rat race over an engine. This is over something so small because more than likely this car is not getting paid off early. Let's be honest. She's about to get hit with so much interest because she's probably going to make minimum payments. And I could understand because you are obligated to pay at least $830 a month. You might not have much left over after that, after you account for your basic necessities. I know a lot of people want what they want right now, but sometimes you got to delay that gratification. And it usually happens with young people. And she looks young. Being the fact that she was saying her dad gave her the Mustang and it was in his name, that wasn't even her car. It was probably a car her dad gave her. So this is her first car. When it comes to the first car that you are getting on your own, you don't need to get your dream car. You don't need to get the car with all the bells and whistles. You need to get a car that gets you to and from wherever you need to be, and it's dependable. Forget all the other stuff. You can get the car with the engine and the vroom vroom when you make the money for the vroom vroom. And you know how my mind is computing and how I need a lot of y'all minds to start computing stuff is how many hours at work is that for you? That $300 difference for your car to go vroom vroom a little bit faster because you like the thrill and you like how it sounds. How many more hours are you now obligated to be at that job that you say you can't stand, trying to be in a job that pays you the best money, trying to make sure that you make it every month? How many hours of your life extra do you now have to take to be at that place with a bunch of people that you can't stand? And I know most of y'all can't stand your coworkers. That's why I'm saying it. And you know what makes this even crazier? She said her dad was there. If that was my daughter, this is where the parents need to start talking sense into the kids. I don't know if he did. I'm gonna give him some leeway. But if he didn't, if he knew this was going on and he didn't say, hey, that doesn't make any sense. If he know what type of line of work his daughter is in and he's looking at the money, like, cause you pretty much know my kid got it like that or they don't, because they might be calling you, asking you for help every now and then, right? And you see them trying to get an $830 car and you find out the reason is because she likes the engine. I don't care what you like at that point. I care what you can afford, because somebody here got to be the voice of reason. If it means you got to be the bad guy right now. They'll thank you later, because once them contracts get signed, the dealer who sold you the car is about to go marching off into the sunset with a smile. They gonna be like, got us one here, boys.
I realize now that at that point, I should have been negotiating. I should have been telling him, we just drove all this way, and should have been doing everything I could to get money off of that car and maybe to even see if he could get my interest down a little bit. But I just didn't, because I felt so defeated about the fact that my car payment was now going to be $830. And I'm fully aware that I could have said no. I could have turned around, got back in my Mustang, and went on my way to find a different car. Or I could have gotten the GT line, and that would have saved me a world of hurt. But I was so set on this car that I just said, all right, let's do it. I thought that I was going to refinance in a year. But then in the last year, because of this expensive car payment, I have racked up $24,000 worth of debt. There's some other reasons, not just the car, but I also have a $24,000 credit card. that I have to pay off that has tanked my credit. Okay, it's actually not that bad. I've never missed a single payment on anything, but still my debt to income ratio is not good with this $24,000 credit card.
$24,000 on a credit card. And additionally to that, $830 a month. We don't even know what her minimum payment is for the credit card, y'all. I'm still sitting here gasped because she just said she could have said no, but she was like, no, I didn't want to say no because of her feelings, essentially. Now remember, this is how I was just saying how you end up staying in the rat race. And they be starting y'all off young every time. Every time. It's because of the stuff you want. You wanted that engine, and the next thing you know, you start swiping on that credit card because most of your money is going to your car note, and you still got other things that you need to do, right? And guess where that's going to go? Because you can only work so much, especially if you know you're about to quit your job and move. So what may happen next? You might start swiping that credit card, and you might say, no, I got control over it. I'm a refinance. But guess what? Because you didn't have enough money to truly afford that car, you start swiping on that credit card, and now it's a trickling down effect. You're not refinancing anything because your credit score is about to tank. You usually end up in some sort of debt cycle, and you try to work overtime to get yourself out of this hole. The younger generation could learn something if you just watch. It's typically because of the emotions. And I need a lot of y'all to realize there's been so many people before you that have done the exact same thing. We aren't telling you this so y'all can be like, oh, y'all are just nagging. We're telling you this because we have life experience, and we know that you are not bigger than this program. You go out in this market acting on your feelings and swiping and doing things emotionally, making emotional purchases when you are a consumer, they are going to eat you up. And this is just a little taste because she's young. I know she's young. So what you got to do is take control now. It can get way worse. If a tire pop, you ain't got no money. Guess what you finna do next? Go get another credit card and get to swiping.
So the situation I'm in now, trying to get rid of a car with negative $12,000 in equity, no cosigner, no money down, and not that great of credit. So lesson learned, cars are expensive. And looking back, there's a lot that I would change, especially because this has been like the most financially destructive decision I have ever made. But it was my first time. It was my first time getting a car on my own. It was my first time dealing with a dealership on my own. It was my first time doing any of that. And, I didn't have parents. I mean, my parents were there, obviously, but they weren't there for the whole process. So my dad didn't know too much about what I was doing. And my parents also aren't financially literate, and nobody talks about how hard it is to do things like this when you don't have parents that learned very well the first time either. So it happens. That's life, and I'll figure it out.
You know what? She's right about that last part, because as somebody who didn't even get their driver's license until they were 18, and I had to go to school to learn to drive because my mom was too scared to show me how to drive. So I already felt a little bit behind compared to my peers. But when it came time for me to purchase my car, and this is when I actually was in the military finally, I told the adults around me what the car was, and it was a reliable car. I was not going for all this speed and look. It was an ugly car. It was not fashionable. It had crank-up windows at a time where people had automatic windows because it was $50 cheaper to get the crank-up window. You had to put a cassette in the inside in order to play music, and you had to connect it with a wire into your phone. Everybody else was on Bluetooth. I wasn't there yet. But you know what? For $50 cheaper a month, I said sign me up because I wanted a car that I truly could afford. Automatic windows and Bluetooth just wasn't in my cards. I didn't have no cosigner either. We have to sometimes look in the mirror and be honest. Whether your dad was there or not, and he was there, which makes it even more interesting because if he was already there, why he ain't being nosy? And then two, you wanted the car with the vroom vroom. You was being stubborn. In real life, what happens when you tell somebody, hey, that's probably not the best thing to do, and they really are set on something? You know what they're going to do? They're going to get upset with you for you trying to get in the way of what they desire. They might even say you're a hater. Oh, you're just hating because I'm about to get a car. Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be able to. They're going to start making excuses. I know because we've seen this in real life. I've seen people in the military, privates, they don't got money like that, and they would go out and get a Charger that we all know is about to have them in a bind. And guess what? They're going to make all the excuses in the world and cry about it later. To you, mind you. And when it come time for their uniform to get inspected, they going to say, I don't have any money. I spent, my car note is high. This is why we told you don't do it. But your desire made you deaf to everybody else's wisdom. And I'm not saying that happened here because it really just didn't sound like nobody told her. But girl, you knew you couldn't afford that $830. As she said, she is going to have to learn from that mistake that she made. And I hate that a lot of y'all have to learn this way. I don't know what numbers y'all are looking at when you say, can I afford this car? But here's what you need to do. You need to open up that bank account. You need to look at that job and look at that income you bring in every month. You need to look at your expenses. You need to look at every single bill that you pay. And you need to subtract those expenses from how much your income is. Once you get that and you figure out what that car note is and you knew it was going to be $830, before you signed on the dotted line, you crunch them numbers. You see what's left over. Ask yourself, are you okay with that? Ask yourself, if anything else pop up, how am I going to pay for it? Ask yourself, do I have other areas besides my expenses that I'm spending a lot on every month that I'm not calculating and I know I'm not about to cut back? Ask yourself those questions and then come back to the forefront and say, can I truly afford this car? And mind you, we haven't even discussed maintenance, car insurance, a simple flat tire, gas. If you haven't even calculated all those things in and you're like, I'm cutting it close, then you can't afford that car. And you see, sadly, a lot of y'all are working backwards. Y'all are going and doing the stuff first. You're saying, oh, I make $2,000 at my job. I should be able to afford $800. Wrong. You skipping the steps that I just named and you're going to end up messed up every time. You're going to end up swiping on that credit card. So stop it now. Get it in check, because we don't want to see people ending up like this. And y'all, this is the comment section, and she's replying, and she says, so long story short, I was young and dumb. That's not a good enough excuse. Just saying you were young and dumb is not a good enough excuse. You're still going to have to pay that debt. When y'all turn 18, put your dukes up. Life is coming for you. Nobody, these companies ain't gonna have no mercy on you. And I have to be so straightforward right now because some of y'all don't have somebody telling you the truth. They are relentless. And debt is no joke. It's so easy to get in. It's so easy to wreck your credit score. And it's so hard to get out, especially when you don't have a job that pays a lot of money. And that's why the young people are going to have it the hardest. That's why y'all need to be the most careful about making these sort of financial decisions that are going to affect you long term. I don't want to hear, I like the way my car engine purrs. Now, somebody here said, girl, you're a victim. I swear some of these salespeople are actually vultures. They take advantage of people. Shaking my head. And some do. But that ain't the video I just seen, ma'am. Why do y'all get in these comment sections not being honest to people? She admitted that she was being stubborn. The car salesman didn't even have to do much. He just had to let her emotions take control. The minute that some of y'all's emotions get control, everything else done went out the window, all logic. And they're not there to speak logic into you. They're there to sell cars. Why would he be there telling you that that's not the best thing for you to do? He's trying to make a bag. So if you're going to be stubborn and it's going to benefit him, who do you think is going to stop you? See, y'all got to understand, acting on your feelings sometimes can get you messed up financially. We keep seeing it over and over and over and over. So it's not to laugh at these people that go through this. It's to learn and to see that these are the behaviors that made them get in these situations. It's typically their feelings. It's typically something silly, like a car engine. Now, somebody said they wanted to see the car. Immediately, car tour.
Car tour for the car that cost me $830 a month. On this side is all the basic stuff for your phone call, answer, decline, Siri, and like radio station mode. On this side, we have lane keep assist and we have steering assist. And I can also set it for adaptive cruise control. So it basically drives itself. I have all three of these things on. Digital dash, can't see much, but tire pressure, auto hold, 360 camera, and heated steering wheel and heated and cooled seats. I also have a wireless charging port down here. I just never really use it. Memory seating, red stitched seats, all leather interior. I also have a sunroof. I don't really ever open it because I live in Florida. She's not very clean right now, but this is what she looks like when she is clean. I don't know why everybody's hating. It has everything I could want. It's a nice car. The leather stitching, the interior, everything about it is perfect to me. It's exactly what I wanted when I was looking for a car, and I love my car. I just don't love paying $830 a month.
You want to know why they hating? And I'm saying this as somebody who has no reason to hate on you, honestly, or to hate on anybody's car. What you may be interpreting as hate is people just acknowledging that this car is extremely expensive and you just can't afford the car. Have y'all ever seen somebody pay cash for a car? They don't have no car payments. And people will hate on them because they're jealous. I honestly think a lot of people think that when they get a car and they're struggling to pay off the car and they're telling people they're struggling to pay off the car, that when you tell people, they're like, oh, y'all are hating. Y'all are a bunch of haters because I'm riding clean. Why would they be hating on you? But I'm just logically, if I was to hate on somebody, would it be somebody who's struggling to pay off a car that costs $830 a month? And it's a Kia? It's not even paid for. You know who I used to hate on? I'm gonna be honest. And it wasn't really hate. I just aspired to be like them. I used to be like, I want to be like the people who don't got no car payment. And do you want to know what I did with that inspiration? I turned it into fuel. And guess what? I became the person who don't have a car note. You see how that worked? You become the thing that you were actually inspired by. This isn't inspirational. Anybody can go into debt for a car. That's what I'm saying. Y'all have to stop looking at this like, oh, people are hating because I got the thing. They're not. But a lot of y'all are very young-minded and you don't understand that. There ain't enough sunroof and there ain't enough cooling seats for someone to aspire for this. But this is what happens when you put a car on a pedestal when it ain't nothing but transportation to get you to and from. Just think about it. Do you think that people who are building stock portfolios are throwing all their money into cars, depreciating assets? And again, you got to watch who you being inspired by and what's inspiring you. Because if depreciating assets are inspiring you and you go out and you act on it, you're missing the real stuff that can get you financially free. Because vehicles ain't nothing but something to drain your wealth. They are money pits. Some people never own a car. They get a car, barely pay it off, get another car, and keep tacking on negative equity. Do you know how much they could have saved if they just paid off one car, put some money into an asset that actually grew, but no, you own no cars and you don't have any wealth. You don't have anything for an emergency. Because all of your money always goes to your cars, year after year, decade after decade. Y'all have to make it make sense, and it starts young. Now, she got plenty of time, and time is on her side. That's the good thing about this. She's young. But some of y'all need to wake up. If you in your 30s, if you even in your late 20s doing this, you need to cut it out. The writing is on the wall. You can see where this is going. You've been doing it year after year, and it ain't been working well for you. So be honest with yourself. But I need to know. Do you think $830 a month for a Kia is too expensive? Do you think that it's not her fault because she was young and dumb? Do you think that people were hating on her, or were you hating on her because of her car? Comment down below and let me know. Do you have a car note? And if so, how high is it? But we got to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.